Welcome to the Rusted Garden Homestead. I hope you all are safe and doing well. This is the third and final video in this series on starting an emergency garden. And again, it wasn't really about, hey, we're going to run out of food. It was just really how to get started quickly, how to get leafy greens growing. And then today, the final video, I'm going to show you how to put them in containers, in the ground, and in different places. These are the seed starts that we started about 5 or 6 weeks ago. In the second video, I will link all three videos together. They are ready to go. All kinds of different greens. We have spinach, arugula, kales, mustard greens, endives, lots of lettuces. And we're going to start with putting them into containers. Hopefully you picked from the second video how you want to grow them. Just real quick, you can use a potting mix in here. You can make this a 50% peat moss, 50% earth. Throw in a couple handfuls of granular fertilizer. You'll be good to go. Potting mix already has it in there. But if you didn't really set up anything with fertilizer, we're going to water all this in with a water-soluble fertilizer at the end, and you can find more about that out in the second video. We're going to use fish emulsion. So I'm going to set up the camera. We're going to put some of the greens into here. You can see I've started in those containers with different ones, but let's get to planting and really get everything set up. So really in about 2 to 3 weeks you'll have full heads of lettuce. In a week or so you'll be able to cut some of this as cut and come again lettuce. Everything's going to start growing really well. We're into 50-degree nights, 60 to 70-degree days, so this is all going to take off. Here's just a quick example of what you can look forward to. These are all different greens. These are actually in that first batch that I showed you when I did the first video and the second video of stuff I already started before we started planting. And this is what's going to happen with the plugs that you're putting in. You're going to get nice greens wherever you plant them. Now I like starting them in the flats because, well, these didn't come up, but if everything came up, we'd have 72, that's a lot, of plugs to put in our ground. And then we bring up the other container, that's another 72. That's 140 plants that we can get out into the garden just setting it up this way. Remember, we started these without grow lights, we just moved them in and out of the house. So this is going to be where I put in my leafy greens, the leafy greens of lettuce. Whoops, they're stuck together still. Some mustard greens. Mustard greens will get huge, like this big, so we're just going to put one in here. And we're going to put in these lettuces. So we're going to start with the mustard green, and you just pinch it out. It's that simple. Nice root system. And we're going to put it right over here. You're going to plant it right to the same level. Drop it in. You got that in. We're going to plant these about 4 to 6 inches apart. I want them to get a little bit bigger. There's either 1 or 2 plants in here. 1, 2. Here's the other variety. 3, 4, and let's go. Yeah, we'll use the same variety. And I like even numbers. And we'll put that right in here. Now, these will get to a good size, but we're going to cut them when they're about this tall, cut them right to the ground, leave the roots in, and they're going to come back. But now we have a container of leafy lettuce greens, so let's set up another container with the kale. Now your leafy lettuce greens that we just planted will only go so far, maybe into the beginning of June. When the heat comes, your lettuce greens want to flower, their flavor changes, you get rid of them, you plant again in the fall. Your kale is going to get huge, it's going to get really big, lots of leaves, and it's going to grow through spring, summer, and fall. So this is a red Russian kale. We're only going to put 4 in this space. Same way, that was a little too deep, about to there, press it in. We'll put another kale, red Russian kale, right here. This is a dwarf kale. This is a 22-gallon container. Holes in the bottom. If you're going to container garden, you need to make sure you put holes into it, because if water fills up, it's going to rot the roots and it's going to damage your plants. And then another dwarf kale right here. And when we're done, I'll walk back through, show you everything we planted, and give you some I'll show you some other vegetables like this that have been growing so you can get an idea of the size. But we're going to water this in with a fish emulsion. Alright, so now we have leafy greens and we have some kale set up. Let's go to an earth bed. Now I love spinach. This is going to go into an earth bed, a framed bed here, a raised bed. And I'm putting them about 4 inches apart. I'd like to put my stuff a little bit closer together because I eat it. I don't wait till it gets to a full size. I eat it pretty quickly. I want to stress again, growing in a flat, move it in and out of the house. You get all these plugs. You can walk through your garden and put them where you want to. If you just put seeds here and you put seeds in a container and seeds in other places, you end up having to watch them and take care of them. And this is much, much easier. Plus you can move them in and out of the house and they're going to get to size. Spinach, drop it down, keep it at level, press it in. And we're going to put in 8 plugs of spinach just that quick. If you were doing this by seed, you have to wait a lot longer for the soil to warm up and for the seeds to germinate. Put them in a flat, bring them in the house, keep them warm at night, they'll germinate. And as far as an emergency goes, you get to get these out quicker, they grow more quickly, and you get them in the house. Basically, get them to your plate quicker than if you were just dropping seeds. So this is endive. It's a leafy green. It's a little bit bitter, but I really, really enjoy it. It's not overly bitter. Again, I'm going to pop out 4 plugs. And you can see how nice the root systems are. And I'm going to just put them in right in front of the spinach. Nothing fancy. Just get them into the ground. Whoop. So we've probably put in maybe 25 plants already. All right, so let's get to feeding. You get the idea. You can just move through your space, put your plugs of the greens in. We're going to water them in with fish emulsion, and I'll show you what growth looks like in some other beds. Now you can see we hardly made a dent. We still have lots of plants to go. Now I've already planted a lot in my garden, so we're going to water these in now, show you how to do that. And just wanted to make a comment. When you look on a seed pack and it says maturity 45 days, that's not from when you put the seed in the starting cells like this, or when you put it in the ground. It's after they germinate. Seeds can take anywhere from 5 days to 25 days to germinate. So just because a pack of seeds says lettuce will be ready in 40 days, 45 days, that's after germination. These are going to take off. They've germinated, they've grown. We got 40, 50 degree nights, 60 degree days, 70 sometimes. They're going to take off. So that's when you're going to get a huge harvest. You're going to water it in with whatever water soluble fertilizer you want to use. I'm using fish emulsion. Just soak them in like this. And you're going to do this every 10 to 14 days until the plants are done. You don't need any other fertilizer. You can just use a water soluble organics and you'll be good to go. All right, let's go over to the spinach. So this is my vertical tower that I've talked about in the previous video. And if you look in the description, you can see where you can get this and get a discount if you use the Rusted Garden as a code. Perfect way to grow leafy greens. These are all ready to be harvested and start being, turned into salads. So here's the bed planted endive and the spinach right there. Those markers are where tomato plants are going to go. So these will grow and be done by the time the tomato plants get big enough to overshadow these. And you get the idea. We'll just water in everything in this bed just like that. And I just work my way down through the spinach. These are mustard greens, the red, butter crunch lettuce right there, Chinese heading cabbage, and rotated just like I did the previous endive and lettuces. And you can see how big they are. You know, you want to plant these in succession, which means, yeah, we did, 144 plants at once, so they're going to come quickly. But if you're kind of pacing yourself, you're starting some every 2 weeks. This way they get to size, they get to maturity at different times, and you have an ongoing supply of your leafy greens, your lettuces, your endives, your kales, etc. That's kale that went into the container maybe 2 weeks ago. And then some more mustard greens, butter crunch, and Chinese heading cabbage. And another bed, arugula on the right, kales down the middle, heading cabbage, I'm sorry, that's actually endive on the left. Your mustard greens, I told you they're going to get really big. and I'm going to have plenty of greens. I'll be eating these, and really starting today actually, I'm going to be putting in a lot of my warm weather crops, tomatoes, peppers, even a squash, getting them into the ground, getting them started. So the whole idea with gardening is you can't, feed yourself in an emergency, but you can get started so that you can better deal with emergencies. This is how you get the cool weather crops done. This is the end of the series. Please subscribe, because I'll be growing all kinds of stuff through the spring, the summer, and the fall. Hope this gives you some confidence to start your garden. Hope you enjoy the garden, and hope you stay safe through this health care crisis. Thanks so much for watching, and please check out my seed shop at therustedgarden.com. Thanks so much for watching.